Cooper, can you tell everybody hey?
What up?
So the last time I made a video on this bike, it was getting torn apart. I haven't made any videos on it, but made a lot of progress on it. As you can see, we got a complete roller now. Gone through the chassis. It's got all new steering stem bearings, seals, swing arm bearings, seals, suspension linkage has all new bearings and seals. The front and rear hubs have been rebuilt, new bearings, seals. The front and rear calipers have been rebuilt. The rear master cylinder has been rebuilt. I've got a new front master cylinder because it was leaking and just the whole housing was all kinds of corroded up. I know some people will probably, go freak out on this, but I did the G2 single cable throttle cable conversion kit before I quit riding because of the engine failure. I had the stock throttle assembly with a single cable set up. I replaced the throttle tube, the throttle housing, both push and pull cables from Honda, routed them per the manual, and I could not get them to not stick. The carburetor, nothing was wrong with it. I pulled the push cable off and just had the pull cable, and it was crisp, clean. It had nothing to do with it being too hard to pull. Like I've seen some people like, oh, it's too hard to twist or whatever, and you don't need to do it. Well, I rode it with one cable for almost 2 years without any issue. So I trust it, and I'm not, I might race and ride, but I'm not, as of now, I'm just riding. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually not doing anything right now because it's obviously not running, but once I get it running, I might race here and there, but nothing crazy. Just enjoying it. Some other parts we've got some works connection, master cylinder covers, front and rear. We got the hammerhead lower clevis. We've got some works connection. Actually, these are old. I had these on before I tore the bike down, but we've got the blocks back here. We've got the FMF Powerbomb header with the Q4 silencer. That's the only one I could find. It's a little long. I wish I could shorten it up a little bit, but it'll do. We've got the throttle jockey graphics with I forgot what plastics I've got on it, but got them all set up. Still got mold Renthal twin wall bars. Didn't replace them. They're still good. I do need to get new graphics for my number plate because I screwed that all up. And I want to get a graphic made for this. One came with the graphic kit, but I did not realize it was red background. I thought it was clear, but it's red. So I'm going to have a graphic made for the rear fender, pretty much like the one that came with the kit, but just have it clear. And then I'm going to have a little graphic. One little change to it. Should be pretty neat. But other than that, we got this Evo suspension. It's one of their A kits. Bought it from my buddy. It's off of a 05 CRF250 that was converted into a flat track bike, so he didn't need the forks anymore. It's got the coated uppers and the blue coated lowers. It's got some of their billet parts on the rear shock, along with the blue coating on the rear shock rod as well. I do need to send it off here probably in the next, few months once I get the engine back together. But we've got some more works connection parts up here. The clamp for the front brake and the clutch perch and the hot start. Other than that, we also put another the seat cover on that came with the throttle jockey kit, which I like a lot. got TM Designs chain sliders. Went ahead and replaced them. The other ones were kind of beat, which actually they were TM Designs too, but like I said, they were kind of beat, so I went ahead and put new ones on there. This is what happens all night. But on to the newest project is we're building the engine. I didn't plan on it, but we got slow at work one day and I watched a couple videos, and reason I didn't want to do it is I didn't have any special tools for the engine. And I thought I'd have to buy case splitters and gear holders and all this other stuff that I've seen some other people that build engines use. But I watched 2 videos of guys building pretty much this exact engine with hardly any special tools. So I was like, you know what? I'll save a lot of money and I'll do it myself. Hopefully I save a lot of money as long as I do everything right. But yeah, the whole reason for the engine being torn down, originally I thought the crank seal had failed. And when I went to replace the crank seal on the clutch side, I ended up pulling the threads out of the end of the crank. Did not put any kind of heat on the bolt with a torch or nothing before I hit it with my 1/2-inch impact and pull the threads straight out of it. So the bike's set for a few years. Here we are tearing it down now, and I found out the actual cause for the oil blowing back through the intake. And it is right here. So the oil ring on this piston, you can see right there, the bottom lip of it has failed. The top, that's how the gap should be. Bottom, I think an inch is too much for that. And I haven't really looked into it too much. One of the videos I watched of the guy rebuilding the engine, he said with the spring, you're not supposed to overlap them. You're supposed to butt them up to each other. This thing was rebuilt. The top end was rebuilt probably within a year to year and a half before we quit riding in 07. I forgot where it was done, but I don't know if they did it or if this happened when the bottom ring failed. I don't know. But either way, that problem created this problem, and it gouged the cylinder heavily. So I got to get a new cylinder. Other than that, I'm going to send the head off to have it checked and cleaned up. I've got new valves for it. I don't know if the seats or the valve guides need to be replaced, but they'll check all of that. Clean up the head for me, and I'm going to send the cases off. I think there's a shop here locally that'll do vapor blasting on these. So I'll get these cases cleaned up. The only thing left I have to take out is this bearing right here. I don't have a puller for that, so I'll have to find one or buy one, I guess. But other than that, it was pretty simple. One thing that helped is, if you look back at some of the other videos I posted, I had this little white fold-out table, little plastic table. I built this table back in 2018 or 17 for Hobbytown, USA. I was working there as a second job on the weekends, and I built this table to be a RC rock crawler demo table. So it used to have some hills and mountains and then a couple bridges you could cross for like the little 16th and 24th scale crawlers, and you could even run some of the 10th scale stuff on it too, but it was mainly for the smaller stuff. But I ended up bringing it back home. I built it kind of light as far as the top with 2x3s and 1/4-inch plywood, but when I brought it back, I put, or I may have done, what did I do? No, I did, it wasn't 1/4-inch, 3/8 or something. But when I brought it back, I put 3/4-inch plywood on top of that. So it's a super solid work table, much better than that one over there. I mean, it's folded in half, but it doesn't even compare to this table. And I highly, highly suggest, if you were doing anything like this and you got a wood table or whatever, go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's, whatever place you got, and get some of these drip pans. They're like 14 or 15 bucks. They make great workspaces, especially if you're doing like engine parts. Contains all the oil, keeps stuff, bolts, nuts, washers from rolling off the edge of the table. And they just, very good idea I saw. And like I said, pretty cheap, but they're really good to work in and contain all your stuff. It's a mess right now. I just got all this torn down about an hour ago. But yeah, I don't know too much more going on. We got the rebuild kit over there. We got the stage 1 hot cam. We've got, I ordered the Henson bulletproof clutch parts. They didn't have a kit, so I ordered it. Oh, I can't talk right now. I ordered all of it individually. But Motorsport came back around and said, hey, these parts have been discontinued. So I got the friction materials and the clutch basket cushions. So now, instead of doing the whole bulletproof clutch assembly, I'm probably gonna do the Henson clutch basket with a new stock hub and pressure plate, just to save some money, because I'm not going to Loretta's. I mean, I'd love to, but I'm probably not ever going to race anything like Loretta's or do, weekly races. If anything, I might hit up Arena Cross and maybe drive to a local track or something. But as of right now, I have no intentions on, racing every week. So pretty sure this basket lasted 20 years. So I think another factory one will last just as long. I mean, it is, it's pretty bad. And the hub, oh, good thing I'm replacing that. The hub is not much different. You can see it's got some chatter marks on it, but we'll probably go back with the factory hub and the factory pressure plate, and then just do the Henson clutch basket with their friction materials and stuff, and that should be good enough for what I'm doing. It's not a big bore kit. It's just a stock rebuild with a stage 1 cam. So even the billet clutch basket might be a little much, but I've already got the friction materials and the cushions, so we're gonna find somebody that's got it in stock here in a couple weeks. We'll get the basket, new OEM hub and pressure plate, and then send these off to get vapor blasted, and then we'll start putting the bottom end back together. I will say, 2 special tools, other than hand tools, obviously you need for everything. The only special tools I needed for this assembly was, 1, this engine stand. I saw one of the videos, I saw a guy made this, and I was like, that actually looks pretty usable. As you can see, let me move this out of the way. As you can see, I made it, I think it's, the inside diameter is like 10 by 11 maybe, but it'll sit down in there good. So if you're doing just a top end, you can set it in there. Set the other case so you can kind of get an idea. So it'll sit in there like that. Pretty good. And then once you get it disassembled, or actually it might have been sideways. I like it right there. Yeah. It was like this. Sorry for the crazy camera on this, but yeah. So it'll sit in there like that when the engine's all together, and then once you get the cases split, you can lay it down, beat all the bearings and the seals out, and flip it over and do it to the other side. You got a good solid workspace. And then 2, you put a rag under this little stand, catches any oil or any springs, washers, whatever falls out of there. It's all contained in this little stand in your little tray. So really like the setup, worked out great. But as far as special tools for this disassembly, all you need is a flywheel remover. This one's from Tusk. It was like 30 bucks off Amazon. Could not have done it. Could not have gotten the hub off without it. And then the other tool, other than this little engine stand I made, 2x4s and some 3-inch screws, is this Tusk bearing tool. Motion Pro makes one. It's a lot more expensive, and at the time it was back ordered. It was like during COVID when I bought this stuff. But this one was like half the price. Tusk bearing remover. There's your part number. What do you say? There's your pulley. You got your slide hammer. I've got some other stuff in there. Rear shock bearing installer remover. That's the rear hub socket. But yeah, this kit, well worth the money. I could not have gotten half the bearings out of the cases without this kit. So highly suggest, if you're wanting to do anything like this, invest in that kit right there. Build you a little stand and buy you a flywheel remover. It'll make life so much easier. But yeah, that's about it. You can see I made a little cardboard template of the case bolts, so I know where they all go. Got all the little clips and retainers for them in there as well. But yeah, other than that, thought I'd update y'all on the bike. I have not done anything on the truck. I've been riding the wheels off the motorcycle, but we're gonna get this thing ready for next year, and hopefully next year I can at least enjoy something instead of constantly having to work on stuff. So don't know if I said it. I gotta send the suspension off. I think I did, but we gotta send it off, have it rebuilt and valved and everything to my weight. But it's coming together pretty good. I really like that it's a rolling chassis now. It's easier to move around. And I think it just looks pretty sick. Love the 95 graphics from Throttle Jockey. They did a great job. Other than my installation on the number plate, I've got to redo that. That is bugging the crap out of me. So, with that, we'll see you next time. Roll the outro. Boom, 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 boom.